January 6, 2022, 1 year later, you already know what took place on this day. But we're not here to bash Trump or talk about what happened. We're going to talk about why it happened.
On the American public, this is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop.
Okay, as you see, he's claiming an election victory while the results of the election are still being tallied below the bottom of the screen. Not only that, but he's also claiming that fraud has taken place and that the election was stolen, and he plans on going to the Supreme Court and challenging this. We all know how it turned out. Like I said, we're not going to talk about what happened. We're talking about why it happened. Right off the bat, regardless if you're a Trump supporter or you're not, I understand this information we're going to drop on you might not change any minds, but you got to admit that is incredibly irresponsible to claim that fraud took place and you won the election while the results are still being counted. You have no clue. For all you know, they may come back and say you won, but you want to know that you won right now, the evening of the election, and the results are still being counted. That is incredibly irresponsible. Like I said, we're not talking about what happened, but this is a huge part of the reason of why it happened. Now, in addition to that, obviously several members of his own administration has later come out and stated that the election was not stolen and things like that. So the irresponsibility of at least not waiting a few days or weeks or whatever the case may be and being able to present more proof, more evidence would have certainly have helped him. But I want to present to you the Electoral College Map of what took place in 2020. Now, as you can see, Biden has 306 Electoral College votes. If I'm correct, that's about the same what Hillary Clinton had. Now, the issue is with Trump losing the states that he won from Hillary Clinton in 2016, which are Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado. Several of those states had Republican governors at the time, particularly in Pennsylvania and Arizona. Now, the first question I'd have to ask, or anyone should ask, is if the election, the integrity of the election failed in those states with Republican governors, they should have been the first to come to the president's rescue. They're on television stating that they even voted for Trump. So why not come forward and say, listen, there was fraud in my state and I believe the election should be held again, or I believe this should go to court. No, you had the Republican governors in their state saying, yeah, I voted for the guy, but we've checked and checked again, and there is no fraud in the state. Why would they do that? Now, we're not talking about Democrats. This is not a video about Democrats. We're not defending Democrats. We're not even going to fucking discuss Democrats. This is simply going to be taken from a Republican point of view. And my question I'm asking, would a guy who appointed 3 Supreme Court judges and a total of 234 judges were appointed by Trump himself. He went to court 60 times on this matter throughout the United States and failed every time but one. So the question has to be asked, with so many Republicans stacked in your favor, the Supreme Court, that is 6-3 majority, and you got 234 judges you've appointed, not to mention several of the states you lost that you're challenging, that you're investigating, have Republican-run administrations. Why aren't you able to get your point across if you can actually prove that the election was stolen? In addition to that, the My Pillow guy spent a ton of money also with his symposium or whatever the case may be. So it has to be asked, if the Democrats truly stole the election from President Trump, why was he not able to get more Republicans ones that are actually in power, not someone at a rally, but Republicans in power, to come to his rescue and help him get this sorted out. And of course, we could even bring up Mike Pence, who also did not pause the election at the end of the day either. Now, once again, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you're on the side of Trump, or if you're in the belief that the election was stolen, I could present evidence or present questions to you until the cows come home, and you're just in that mindset. No matter what comes out of this or what questions are asked, you're going to still say the election was stolen. And I understand it. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm just here to ask these questions because, like I stated before, looking at the Electoral College Map once again, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, and Colorado. These are the only states that Trump decided to investigate for fraudulent activity, which certainly is baffling when you think about the sheer size and number of voters in states like Florida, Texas, California, New York. I mean, you're going to tell me that there was fraud in Wisconsin, but Texas, huge state like Florida or California, was ran with total integrity? That doesn't make sense. So the first question I would ask is, if you believe the election was fraudulent, why would you believe it only happened in a handful of states? Whatever they were doing in terms of dead people voting or illegal aliens, you're going to tell me that didn't happen in California, where a ton of the illegal aliens are? It didn't happen in Texas, where they have a ridiculously large Hispanic population? Or was this a case of, these are the states that I want to give me their electoral college votes, so I'm only going to target these states? The states that I won, I have no concern whether they held a fraudulent election or a totally legitimate election. I'm not going to do any investigation on the state that I won. Then if that is the case, where you're only interested in the states that you lost, you're not trying to pursue a fair election. You're just trying to pursue it in a manner that will give you a victory. And that's the primary question I have to ask. Like, why not do an investigation of all 50 states? You're going to find, whether it's a small, minute amount or a large amount like what he is alleging, you're going to find some voter discrepancies in all 50 states. I mean, you're talking millions of people in every state in America. There's no way, if you got 1 million votes in, say, Rhode Island, for instance, a little small state like that, you're going to tell me out of that 1 million votes, not one of those votes is someone who's deceased or wasn't able to vote because they were a felon or whatever. Every single state in America had somebody vote, or a ballot was cast by somebody who did not have the right, or was restricted from voting, or was not alive, or was not an American citizen. That happened in every state in the country. There is no doubt in my mind about that. That happened in every state. The states have too fucking many people for them to be 100% honest. No statistics are that good. If Trump had have went to the courts and presented all of the crap he could find from all 50 states, he would have had a larger pile of crap, and it may or may not have gotten a little bit more attention, a little bit more validity to it. But when you only present a case for the states you lost, it looks like you're not pursuing a fair election. You're just trying to overturn it. So like I said, we're not talking about what happened. We're talking about why it happened. So I cannot say it any stronger. To come out while the election is still being tallied, as you've seen in the video, they're still counting the freaking votes at the bottom of the screen, and states are still being won and lost. I believe about 70% of the electoral, or the votes were actually received, and he's already on there saying he won. He won in a landslide the night of the freaking election. I mean, that is incredibly irresponsible. In addition to that, we could also bring up the fact that he was asked, would he accept the results of the election if he lost? And his response was, I don't know, we'll see what happens. So, and that was said before election night. That was a few days before the election he said that. So it came across as if he was going to say that it was fraud regardless of what happened. And I could also bring up that when he came to run a campaign in 2015, his first statement was, it is rigged. He said that when he ran against Hillary Clinton. It's rigged. It's not fair. You know, the game is rigged, is what he said. And then he won in 2016, and all of the talk of the election being rigged disappeared while he was in office. Not one talk about, well, I'm going to fix fraud in this state, or now that I won, I found it in this state. He didn't say nothing about the election being rigged anymore until he lost again in 2020. So, like I said, I'm not here to change any hearts and minds, but totally legitimate questions to be asked. If the election was rigged and you knew it in 2015, God damn it, you were responsible as president to fix that. Not to have Joe Biden in office and demand it be fixed under a Democratic administration, the administration you're claiming that stole it from you. You had 4 years in office, first 2 years with a Republican Senate and a Republican Congress. You left office with a 6-3 majority in the Supreme Court. That was the time to fix the election. Not when Joe Biden is in office with Kamala Harris, if you believe that they're the ones that stole the election from you. Am I not making sense? I mean, seriously, it's not about you liking Democrats or any of that crap. Like I said, this video is not here to defend Democrats or anything. It's just to question what happened and talk about why it happened. So, not a lot more to be said here. It's been a year plus. And as of now, there has not been anywhere near enough proof or evidence to satisfy any court in the land that the election was stolen, not enough to satisfy any election official. As you might be aware, Dominion Voting Machines, that company has a lawsuit against Newsmax. I believe it's Fox News, Rudolph Giuliani, the Mike Lindell, the Mike Pillow guy, and a host of others for saying that the election was stolen. Now, if it was stolen, I'm fine with bringing that up. Certainly, if it's taken away from a president, but that all intents and purposes was doing pretty well. I don't think that Trump was doing a bad job in office, even though I'm a liberal. However, you can't just make allegations like that and not be able to prove it. And yeah, we keep going back to the Democrats did this and the media did that. None of that excuses Governor Kemp in Georgia, a Republican, saying that the election in my state was solid, or the governor in Wisconsin, or the governor in Arizona. And then, as a result, Trump just started attacking the fucking governors of his own party. So it looks like a mess. It really looks like a mess. And yeah, the end result was January 6th and another mess. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Do you believe the election was stolen? I'm sure some more right-wing followers out there do. Let me know in the comment section why you believe it was stolen. Post a link. Let me know. I'm willing to look at and read anything you post there, because that may be the follow-up on the next video. I have been one that has said that I didn't think Trump did a horrible job in office, even from a liberal standpoint. And I would be willing to certainly entertain any idea that the election may or may not have been stolen. I'm not just going to dismiss it as it was, as if it was a legitimate election. There are people who would want to vote fraudulently. I'm not going to deny that. But you got to come with proof. You just can't throw some shit out there. And right now, that's exactly what looks like is what happened. Anyway, folks, like I said, if you present something, we will talk about it and potentially make another video on it. Once again, the channel's doing okay. I'm getting happy. Seeing you guys commenting. Videos are coming. We're going to keep this content going. Subscribe to the channel. Show your boy some love. Feel free to hit the like if you feel any kind of what we're talking about here. If not, hit the dislike. I'm not scared, but like I said, always post a comment. Let us know why. And until then, this is your boy, the Handsome Liberal. Catch you in the next video.